it's not an accident that White Crate's seen momentum over the past 5 years, but actually it's part of just this like rising tide across many music scenes in the Bay.
White Crate started out during a time of social distancing and staying at home and not being able to actually see bands. It wasn't enough.
I feel like when I first saw White Crate, it was a digital-only type of thing. In the years since, I've seen you guys program events and whole ass like festivals and shit, you know? I've just seen it shift from being online only to really like an in-person connector of scenes.
I'm gonna say a thing that I haven't said yet, I feel like.
Okay.
I just want to say how beautiful it is that there's every kind of music happening in the Bay. And Elliot's, you know, he says like if you want to create something, do it. You're gonna find an audience. You're gonna find community.
White Crate does such a good job of what Total Accord believes in, which is like representing all of the different sectors of music in the Bay Area. You do such a good job of highlighting all kinds of artists and different sounds and DJs and bands and performing artists.
There's so many different scenes happening, but they're not always crossing over. But everybody usually knows everybody. It's a small place, you know. So these scenes are all happening simultaneously.
So it's really beautiful just to see like all these different styles being embraced in the band.
Yeah, that's been a really cool part about learning about Bay Area music is even if the scene isn't necessarily that big, it's really intense. So like there's a lot of love that goes into every one of these different scenes, even if it's not the predominant one in the city. You know, you find out about a little freak folk corner of music being made, and all of those people are just as serious and intense about it as people in, you know, the larger garage rock scene, which obviously it takes up a little bit more space here. So how did White Crate start?
So 5 years ago, during the pandemic, while most people were trying to figure out what to do with all their extra time and started baking a bunch of sourdough, I started wondering, like, where can I go find out about, like, music in the Bay Area? Is there one place I can do this? And there wasn't. The message I was getting was create it yourself.
My introduction to White Crate, you know, as an entity, I had just been seeing, I think I had been seeing some stuff happen at El Rio, and I'd been seeing, you know, some posts about new releases, and I was thinking, this is cool that there's music journalism happening, because we've lost our SF Weeklies and our Bay Guardians and all the stuff that used to be the way to find out about local music in kind of like one place. I was into it right away, but I didn't immediately know what it was necessarily.
I started paying attention to White Crate because I just love the way that you guys have been like really highlighting local music listings and local shows happening, and really sort of like, I mean, cross-genre as well.
So the newsletter started out as, in the very beginning, as like individual reviews of specific releases, and very quickly we realized that there was just too much to do like an individual release every day, so we started just aggregating them into a weekly newsletter.
And I was following along. I wasn't like really part of White Crate at the beginning, but I was so interested in it, and I kept kind of like, what is the point of this?
You guys were, if not the first, probably the second people that even like mentioned my music in any type of like public way at all, you know? So it was just like amazing to feel that my like little bedroom experiments were being heard by anyone, and that not only were they being heard, but like recognized enough to the point where someone wanted to like write about it or put it somewhere.
Having that journalistic aspect, I think, is so unique and something that's been lacking. That is what really makes you stand out, is just like your curation of representing through writing, I think, is super important.
And such a small team, you get so much done. You can make such a huge impression on the Bay, and you're so tiny.
Yeah.
We've written about like approaching 1,000 releases over the past 5 years, which is insane. I think reflecting my love of all music, and Elliot too, all genre, just everything, because everything is happening here in the Bay. We've put on 25 shows, either on by ourselves or in partnership with other crews here in the Bay, like Total Accord and Bay Beats. We've had a monthly show on Lower Grand Radio where we've hosted live performances and interviews with a couple dozen artists over the past few years.
Now, in modern times, I can send people to to White Crate, and they can look at it and be like, okay, I see what's going on here, and I see, obviously Music Journal looks different now than it did then, but you can see a story and piece together your own narrative of what the Bay Area music looks like. So
I feel like White Crate is doing a really good job of sort of harnessing this, kind of go-to where you can find music listings. It's super cool, super supportive, and we need that, as musicians, as bands.
Another thing that I think White Crate is good for, and I hope that this grows in the future, is connecting people who just love music with their neighbors who do make music. If you're a big fan of the Black Keys, for instance, you love that bluesy rock and roll music, you go pay $150 to see them at the Chase Center, for instance, when literally your neighbor makes that music, and you could see them for $15 at the Knockout. And so being able to sort of shorten the length that it takes to go see music and the amount of money, and actually paying your neighbors to be able to live here and make music, like, that's important to me. I want to see more of that. That's a goal of mine for White Crate.
My hope for the Bay is that generally across the country and across the world, and our governments, local, state, and federal, recognize its place as like one of the biggest incubators of scenes and not just tech. Obviously, so much music. Like when I think about like LA's rap scene, it's literally like the Bay Area beat pattern and like everything,
We could have more of those all-age venues. We can have more places for people to experience live music. That's my hope, is that we maintain those live venues, or just spaces like this where creativity is kind of not always disruptive, but it's happening.
Yeah, I guess I just hope for more institutional support. I hope for rents to be cheaper so that people can stay here, until we get that fixed. It's always going to be kind of a struggle for art to thrive here, but even still, it does.
I think what I'd hope to see in the future is pay equity for artists and streaming, because, they're taking away any incentive to buy our records.
I just want more accessibility, I think, in the Bay Area. So more free shows and venues reworking their models of how to offer shows to people.
I'd like to see music in the streets, but with also a focus on social justice.
Post-pandemic, like where we had all this loneliness, moving to a center like San Francisco and meeting other people and existing and forming a new band, it's really inspiring. And I think it's important to have hope for the younger generations. And so I feel like that way it's really hopeful that people can find a respectful way to put on shows and play music together and be thoughtful and be open and support each other.
The White Crate account specifically follows artists, creators, venues, anyone supporting or creating music in the Bay Area, and we follow almost 5,000 accounts, which means that there's at least 5,000 people or organizations in SF Oakland and the broader Bay that are specifically dedicated to creating art, to supporting art, to writing about music, to creating venues for music, to just being part of this broader community and infrastructure around music making in the Bay, which is pretty amazing to me.
I feel like the Bay Area is a safe space to exist. I mean, as a woman, I've been in other spaces, like in the film industry, where I didn't feel quite as nurtured, safe, to be who I am, to be respected, to not just be like, oh, are you with the band? No, I'm in the band. I'm recording the band, And the Bay Area, to me, just sort of like the values that I seek to be around, that's what I appreciate about being in the Bay Area.
It's been really cool to be able to physically share our love of music in the Bay Area with people and be in communion with them at actual venues celebrating the riches around us.
I think one of my favorite quotes early on from an interview we did was with Dana Beard of The Lab. And one thing she said was that San Francisco is a little bit like a petri dish because it's just really favors experimentation. It's small, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of richness and a lot of overlap between different scenes. And so you can just try things. You can just throw something out there and try something, see if people engage with it, see if it feels right to you. And it doesn't have to be like a huge investment of time or money necessarily. You could just kind of just try things and see where it takes you and maybe see how it evolves. So I just feel very lucky that we started at the time we did and have been able to to bear witness to everything that's happening and spread the word about it to people who may not know.